Hello and welcome to Deep Perspectives. I'm Blessing Owo. On today's discussion, we'll be looking at addressing stereotyping, inequity, and exclusivity in education. Concerning the JAMP UTME results, the situation highlighted challenges faced by students, particularly those from disadvantaged backgrounds. The board's decision to reorganize exams for many candidates in the southeast and Lagos due to errors, that sparked debates about the reliability of the examination process. On the Stock Show, we'll be exploring stereotyping education, how biases and stereotypes affect students' performances and choices in schools, inequity in education. The roles socioeconomic stature play in determining academic success and how the gap can be breached. Exclusivity in education. How can education be more inclusive for students from diverse backgrounds? And joining us today in the studio is the co-founder and chairman CEO of the Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics STEM Childcare Academy, Mamu Alaharji Mohammed. Thank you for joining, sir.
Thank you, Mother.
Great. All right. So I studied about you, and you have been doing pretty good. Getting to bring about an academy that, teaches something quite more different than the usual system that the academy already, knows about. Sarah, you're doing pretty good.
Thank you.
Very good one.
Thank you.
Great. So today I don't know if you can remember what happened, recently around the JAM results, based on the situation that occurred at, JAM even having to cancel the first examination, which was hard. And then maybe in some other areas, they complained about, maybe environmental challenges. I don't know if you can relate with such situation. Do you have something to say about that very situation?
Oh, yes, absolutely. There are a lot of section of Nigeria that are insinuating that this is a case of stereotyping. But actually, I have a different view when it comes to that. Because when you are talking about stereotyping, you are talking about attributing some kind of ability or characteristics or expectation on certain group of people based on their probably ability or their location or their tribe or their race. But I think this is more or less like an issue of inequality because this examination has been probably conducted and error has been noticed. Fine. If this will be like something that is continuous, that any place you identify error, you can be able to say it and correct it. Then I think in that perspective, we will say there is an equal chances for each and every segment. But the JAM came out plain and admitted that there is an error. So probably it's more to lack of probably proper conduct of the examination or probably technological failure or what have you. But then I wish and I hope that JAM will extend such gesture to every segment of the society in case this thing will happen in future.
Thank you very much, sir. Let's talk about inequity in education. What is inequity? I believe so many persons out there watching might not even, know the meaning of this word inequity. Let's talk about inequity in education. Let's talk about that.
Well, first of all, I think before we talk about inequity, let me put the definition of quality education in a proper perspectives. And from there, I think we can have a clear view. Quality education is that education that is effective and inclusive, that foster the cognitive, social, emotional, and physical well-being of individual child. So now, a quality education must be inclusive. A quality education must be individually targeted as much as it is collectively targeted. So now you have inequity if there is lack of access. If there is any part of the Nigeria or any segment of the of students who have no access to quality education, that is absolutely an inequity. Lack of opportunities. You have to provide opportunities for each and every person. If this person has computer, the other person must also have. At the same time, inequitable distribution of educational resources and human resources in terms of teachers. If some segment of the society has no teachers, but a segment of the society has teachers, this is also inequality. So, and again, I think I've also spoken about access. So I think whenever education, then finally also we have targeted support. Even when you have like equitable distribution of resources, teachers, and whatever, you will find out that probably some segment of the society or some segment of the children will have probably a need, will have a special need, like children with autism spectrum.
That's right.
Yes. So this kind of people, if education is not aligned in a way and manner that it also takes care of them and give them targeted support, definitely there is an inequity in that system. So the education have to be inclusive, have to be effective, and have to be individually targeted before we say that that is an equitable, probably educational system.
Great. I love the way you answered this very question. You broke it down into factors, the policies, strategies, and all of that. I loved the way you answered that question. But then this brings me to the most interesting part of this interview, which is stereotyping education. From all I've understood, looking at the sociocultural systems and diverse representations in education, we'll be talking about this perception, all right? Because just the other day on my channel, I spoke about, how the education system was carried out in the northern part of Nigeria, or more or less in some other parts of the country. And I saw that there were no, there was no balance, sort of, in the sense of, maybe some students, having some more of the bias, preferential treatments or concerns. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. So I was like, no, why wouldn't a general or why wouldn't children in general have the same equal standards of education? Why wouldn't they have the same standard of rules and regulatories that govern their scope or their educational system? Maybe because they are still children, so everybody should have same ground knowledge. So there, I was so concerned. Now, this leads me to this question. I mean, how does culture and social or societal stereotypes affect education in Nigeria? Yes.
Well, I think this question is very interesting and very, very fundamental, in the sense that when the stereotyping in education in Nigeria is so endemic, and I think each and every stakeholder in Nigeria is complicit to this complicated matter, right from our religious leaders, from our parents, from our policy makers, and what have you. Why I'm saying this, there are some religious perception that believes that a woman is not meant to study up to a degree level or probably up to the master's level or what have you. This is absolutely stereotyping. And then there is also that belief that engineering is not for women or piloting is not for women. This is also completely stereotyping.
Which is wrong.
Yes. So, and then you look at, this is like gender biasness. Then you look at also some socio-economic biasness, or maybe some social and cultural beliefs that you have to marry a girl probably at the age of 12 or at the age of this, or probably when you go to some other part of the country, you say the rampant cases of early pregnancies at the age of 12, illegitimate pregnancies. So that brings her out of the school, and then she's probably completely lost out.
And this deters the current rule now. Currently the minister or ministry, sorry, currently the Ministry of Education, has given a law or a rule saying that a child must be 12 years of age before he or she gets to JSS 1. All right. So now I'm imagining in some areas where a child, is 12 and that she's already married or pregnant. This could, I think I'm just trying to relate to what you were saying.
Yes.
And, saying, so please go ahead.
Yes, absolutely. These are issues. And then again, abilities. Most of our schools are not friendly to disabled. You understand? In terms of their taking care of their physical well-being. So, number one, we don't have adequate resources that will take care of their educational need. Even the building that we are constructing, I don't. If you can take a statistic, I doubt much both private and public schools, if that is maybe up to 10% of buildings that takes care and cater for the needs of children with disability. So I mean, the biasness or the stereotyping is so endemic, and then a lot need to be done by the government and all stakeholders.
Right. So, how can Nigerian educators promote inclusive and diverse representations in educational materials and resources?
Well, I think first of all, the government probably need to increase its budget when it comes to education. That is very fundamental. And then the second thing is that we need to train as much teachers as we can, so that we will get the teachers to go into all the nook and crannies uh, of Nigeria. Currently, the universal basic education system in Nigeria, based on UNESCO report, we have 46,920,422 students from primary school to JS3. Of this number, you have almost 31 million in primary school and 8 million in junior secondary school. So why is this gap? That means more than 50% of them have dropped out before going to junior secondary school. That is number one. Number two, if you do the arithmetic, we have also about 277,000 qualified teachers. If you take the ratio, you find out that it is in the ratio of almost 100 to 1. Almost 100 to 1 teacher, which is against the international standard of 20 to 25 to 1.
Yes.
So you see, when you have inadequate teachers, there is no yes. Then also resources. Go and see most of our schools, especially in the rural areas, they are lacking in terms of infrastructure. They are lacking in terms of educational resources. They are lacking in terms of technological resources that will drive meaningful learning in their schools. So now, when you have this, then support. I don't think the system in any way takes care of children with special needs. And maybe if you go to a state, you'll get one center. Maybe they'll call it probably the school for the blind. So, but there are more to it. What about children with dyslexia? What about children with dyscalculia? How about children with autism syndrome, ADHD, and what have you? So we're almost not there when it comes to probably a balance with yes. So now we are far from having an equitable access to education in Nigeria, and a lot, really, really need to be done in terms of teachers, in terms of resources, in terms of classrooms, and it's capital intensive. And that's the reason why people like us are advocating for the use of technological advancement. And like you, I've also forgot to say, even with the number of teachers that I've told you, there is also a report that I read, 55% of them are unqualified to teach. And then there is also about 20% attrition rate of teachers going to more lucrative businesses because they're probably probably not being paid. And then complicated with probably the outdated curriculum and things like that. So you can see that the situation is really in mess, and then a lot need to be done. It's not the fault of this government or whatever, but an accumulative problems left unsolved. It becomes complex and now turn into a great monster that is going to be difficult for any person to affect changes, unless maybe if a drastic action is taken towards that.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Mamu. Thank you. All right. Just shortly before we get on a short break, we'll talk a little bit more on policies. We'll talk more on the STEM Academy, which is the new innovation currently around, concerning Mr. Mamu. But then we'll go on a short break, and when we're back, we'll continue. Welcome back to Deep Perspectives, and thank you for joining. Right. Mr. Mamu, you own an academy, and this academy is quite different from the usual academic system we have in Nigeria today. I mean, you introduced science, technology, mathematics in core, and, some others. So please, let's talk about your academy, the STEM childcare. Let's talk about that. I mean, let's talk about the initiative and what prompted you to, learn about that.
Thank you for that's a very fundamental question. About 9 years ago, I looked at the current digitalization and technological revolution that is sweeping all over the world. AI and robot is going to be real, and then probably it's even happening now. You will have a robot in your house that will be assisting you in home chores. You have a cook, a robot cook. You have self-driving cars. You have robots that run errands. Customer care in most banks are being handled by robots. What does that actually mean? Does it mean that the present educational system that we are operating, that cater for our parents and ourselves, is it really going to be relevant to give our children the needed knowledge and skills to strive in the 21st century tides of technological revolution? The answer is definitely no, to my own perspectives. So that is the why, because the old educational system brought about a system whereby you just sit in the exam, you just sit in a class, learn, probably cram, and then produce same on your exam question papers when you are asked. It gives no room for you to innovate something on your own. Is that what was given to you by the teacher? Is what you are expected to return back during examination, and then you will be rewarded for that. So when I opened the school, I now thought of it, okay, fine. Since the society is going towards this kind of system, and our children probably need to sit down for WAEC and Cambridge, so we will incorporate this into our school system so that will help our children to pass their exit examinations and probably go to the university. But alongside that, we say, okay, can we now give them knowledge that will guarantee their employability in the 21st century digital revolution. So that's the reason why we introduce subjects like AI, subjects like coding, subjects like robotics, a subject like 3D design, 3D animation, 3D printing, and what have you, so that we will give them that knowledge. And what does that knowledge do? That knowledge guarantee creativity, because you need to think of a solution and produce something. It gives the student agility. It sparks their curiosity. They say, how is aeroplane being made? And in their lab, they try to see how they can be able to see that. So, and then it gives them, it creates a spark innovation. So now, if a child went through a system whereby he is not thinking of reproducing what he has been taught. He's thinking of creativity. He's thinking of innovation. He's thinking of agility. He's thinking of thinking outside the box. That is same kind of skills that propel great men like Mark Zuckerberg, like Steve Jobs, and what have you. So that is what we are doing differently. And we thank God that we are really achieving a lot of grace by the special grace of God. We competed both regionally here in Nigeria, and then at the national level, we all won trophies. And then in May this year, we represented Nigeria in robotics and AI competition in Qatar, and my school won a trophy. And I think we are really moving, and that is what we are calling on the government to really try to inculcate this kind of system into our primary and secondary school, so that we can catch them young.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Mr. Mahmoud. Great. So now, having or gotten the shores of some academic trainings from both Nigeria and abroad, yes, that's the system we used to always know. Having you know every child from the ages of 1 to 3 or 3 to 6, have a free educational knowledge, a free educational system. This is what happens abroad, and you tend to see that by such rule or law or such opportunity given to every child, they have an equal standard knowledge. All right. So now I'm sharing this just for us to talk about certain policies or strategies or rules that the government that we should say that the government should consider to implement. Because what for so how long I've known life is what governs a child or a person is what he or she picked up from the childhood. Great. So I'm imagining children having different areas or backgrounds of education from their childhood. So this is literally affecting certain situations or challenges we're having currently in our country today. So great, let's talk about setting potentials or setting policy implications that the government should introduce. Yes, just to, stabilize this mode of education. Yes.
Well, I think I just want to say that in most cases, Nigerian government are not having scarcity of policies. But I think the goodwill to implement policies and the continuity in the implementation of the policies has always been a problem in Nigeria. So, because I think we all know the problem. We all know probably we have serious shortages of teachers, and it's germane to having quality and accessible education for everybody. We know for sure that there is a serious infrastructural deficit. We know for sure that there is inadequate resources and material. These are all. So, but then, what is the goodwill to give the desired budget and implement the budget to the latter.
And ensure that it's working.
Ensure that it's working. And again, the continuity of the program is what matters. Sometimes you put a minister and then the next minister will come, will change another thing. The next one will come. There's no continuity. And then the budget implementation, just like any other country, corruption has eaten into the fabric of the nation. So now, due to corruption also, some policies cannot be implemented, both from state level to the local government and the federal government level. So I see it more or less, not the policy issue, but the willingness to implement the policy, and then also the continuity of the policy if implemented. We have very beautiful policy documents that, if properly implemented, now all the issue of inequality and inaccessibility to education is going to become a history in Nigeria.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Mamer. Great, sir. What research is needed to better understand the issues of stereotyping, inequity, and exclusivity in Nigerian education?
Well, first of all, I think we need to make an extensive research on the causes and effect of stereotyping and inequity. And then the causes can be diverse and can be probably zeroed to a location. What I want to say is that probably the problem of stereotyping in Yobe will be entirely different from the one in, say, Bayelsa, and also completely different from the one in probably Lagos or Enugu. So now, if we're able to have a research, what is even the problem? What is each and every location in Nigeria lacking in terms of inclusivity and equal access to probably education? So if you can have this kind of research, we can be able to really target the support towards whatever problem they are facing. That's number. Number two, I think also we need to have an accurate statistics of the children with disability in Nigeria. I mean, children with special needs. And then we also need to have also a statistics on the number or the magnitude of each and every disability. Let's take, for example, the approximate number of children suffering from autism spectrum in Nigeria, and probably the rate at which it is increasing. So you can be able to know what support are you going to give them. In which part of Nigeria is this thing more prevalent, and in which socioeconomic group is such kind of things probably prevalent. So if you have this, then you also probably need to look into adequately a deep research on student-teacher ratio, and probably how can you be able to probably mitigate that. At the same time, the number of classrooms and probably infrastructure that will ensure an equitable delivery of quality education in Nigeria. I think we also need to have researches probably on that. And then we can also research on our budget spending. How far is our budget spending going year after year in order to solve this endemic problem that we are facing? So if you see that probably the budget is not going anywhere, then you see that it's need for you to probably increase the budget.
Great. All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Mamer. Thank you. You're watching Deep Perspectives, and today's topic was addressing stereotyping, inequity, and exclusivity in education. My name is Blessing Owo. Thank you for watching.